And I'm not talking about the people who are in the country. So I'm not being racist against like Italian people or Jewish people or anything like that. They're very good people. It's not the people, it's the government, which are reptilian. It's those reptilian leaders that run the governments that have created a lot of karma for themselves. So there's going to be retribution and karma coming to those countries really soon. I've heard and seen that there's lava coming under the city of Rome right now from Mount Vesuvius or something like that. And there's going to be massive like volcanic damage to Rome. It's going to get taken out. Israel is also going to get taken out as well. Hi, Evelyn. Thanks for having me on your channel. I really appreciate being on this channel. So at night when I sleep, I do what's called astral travel. And I go to other timelines, other dimensions. I even time travel. I've actually been back and met Leonardo da Vinci. I have been back in time to medieval era in like Scotland. I've been back to 1800s England. I've done time travel because your third eye, your pineal gland, is actually a stargate. And you can astral travel through that. You can travel forward in time to the future. And I've been to the future of Earth. It's not good. On what we call the 3D timeline. The 3D timeline where they destroy everything. Everything's dark. It's just this dark planet with like cities underground because people can't live above the surface anymore. And that's on the dark timeline. I've seen a lot of different dark timelines. I've seen alien invasion timelines. I've seen timelines where they nuke the planet. And I've done all that through astral travel because you can go to different timelines. I've also traveled out of the planet multiple times. I've gone out into space. I've gone out through the astral field out there, the astro belt with all of the comets and the asteroid belt. I've gone all the way out there. I've gone into what's called the dark void, where there's just nothing. There's absolutely nothing. And that scared the heck out of me. And when I came back, I slammed into my body really hard. And that was scary. My physical body leaped about 2 feet off the ground because my soul hit it so hard because I panicked when I was out in the dark void. It really scared me. So I've been to different dimensions, different timelines. There's different versions of Earth. I have 22 versions of me out there. There's 22 different other timelines besides this one where I exist. Some of them I'm married. Some of them I've never been married. Some of them I'm younger. Some of them I don't have children. Some of them my children are kids. They're not adult. My kids are adults now, but some of my timelines of me, versions of me, my kids are little, or they're maybe teenagers, but they're not the same. I've got timelines I've been to where my parents who have been passed away they passed away 20 years ago. And I've been to timelines where my parents are still alive and I don't want to come back. When I go to those timelines, I don't want to come back because I'm so happy to be with my family because I miss them. And my brother, he passed away about 3-4 years ago, and he was my only sibling. And so I really miss my family. And so when I astral travel to these other versions, I have a hard time coming back because it's like, I'm spending time with my mom and dad. I just don't want to come back because there's all these different versions. But there's versions of me where they're not my parents. I have like different parents too in some of the versions, which is kind of interesting. But your third eye, your pineal, is a stargate. And they don't want you to know that. This is esoteric information the Vatican has been hiding for almost 2,000 years. They know all about it. They have pine cone statues and pictures of pine cones all over the Vatican in Rome, Italy. They know that the pineal gland is a stargate, and that is why they put fluoride in the water, and they dump toxins on us, and they poison all the food because they want to calcify your third eye so that you're not able to travel and to have psychic experiences and to speak telepathically, which is what every human could do. Every human has the ability to do this. But they do a lot of things to humanity to prevent us from being able to have our superpowers, basically. So I wrote a book actually called Activate Your Superpowers, and it's a whole guidebook on how to decalcify your third eye and how to activate all your psychic abilities. That's one of my books on my website. So you asked what the Matrix means to me. So the movie The Matrix is actually showing you all the truth about everything. We do live in a matrix, but it never used to be this way. So what happened, and I talk about this in Ascension 101, is up until 26,000 years ago, we had Atlantis and Lemuria, and we had people living in peace all over the earth. The whole earth was a paradise. It was the Garden of Eden was not just one location, it was the entire planet, and everybody lived together in peace and harmony. And what happened is 26,000 years ago, we had Satan and Lucifer came down to earth. They brought all their minions. They brought what they call the Nephilim, or the fallen angels, with them, and the giants, what they call the giant race. And there used to be giant trees on this earth that they chopped down at some point. But they had all these guys here, and they came down and they destroyed what was called Atlantean civilization. And Atlantis went from like Mexico, where Mexico is, all the way across the Caribbean and all the way over to Greece. That was all the Atlantean civilization. There were different civilizations that were part of that, but the main headquarters of Atlantis, or what we call the capital city, was where Bermuda Triangle is. The Bermuda Triangle was the capital of Atlantis. And then Lemuria existed at the same time, but it was in the Pacific Ocean. And that went from the west coast of the USA all the way down to what's that called? Australia, New Zealand. That was all part of it. And then the capital for Lemuria was the Hawaiian Islands. That was the capital for Lemuria. And what happened are the Lemurians were really peaceful people. And the Atlanteans got Lucifer and Satan to totally corrupt them. And they had what was called the demiurge. And it was like the downfalling of humanity that lived in that area. And so they started to get violent and do violent, terrible things. And one of the things they did is they nuked and destroyed Lemuria, put it totally under the ocean. But the Lemurians actually fought back, and the extraterrestrials, the benevolent extraterrestrials, helped, and they destroyed Atlantis. So Atlantis was put under the ocean. However, the humans that stayed, a bunch of the humans went under the earth, and they formed what's called Telos, that's under Mount Shasta, and a whole bunch of other places. And there's also a Gartha, which is on the inside of the earth. And so the Matrix was formed by what are called the Anunnaki and the reptilians, because they showed up not too long afterwards and started working with Lucifer and Satan. In fact, they basically worship them. Like they worship a god called Baal, Baal, Moloch, Baphomet, what's the other one? Belial. There's a bunch of these satanic gods who like child sacrificing. That's their big thing that they love. So these Draco reptilians showed up, and they kind of took over our planet. And what they did is they had blown up the original moon, which was Tiamat. They blew that thing up. I believe it was called Tiamat. I could be wrong. It was something like that. But they blew up our original moon. They brought in what I call the Death Star. But this moon that's up there right now, that's not a real moon. It's actually a hollow spaceship. It's like the Death Star in Star Wars, because the sci-fi movies show you the truth all the time. They show you the truth. And so that's like the Death Star. And they had equipment on that moon that put a matrix, what we call false matrix, around the planet Earth, or around what we call the planet Earth, which is really surrounded by an ice wall. It's an area surrounded by an ice wall with a big dome over the top. But they put they literally locked us down in a prison. And it's been run by these reptoids for thousands of years. There's pictures and statues of these reptoids in ancient Egypt, ancient Babylonia, ancient Mesopotamia, all the ancient cultures, even in ancient India, ancient Vietnam, ancient Cambodia. All these kind of places have these reptilian they were like gods. They were worshipped by the humans. So then you get this scientist, Anunnaki scientist Enlil and Enki, and they took the original humans and they took us from what was called a crystalline life form, where we never got sick. We lived many, hundreds of years. Like in the Bible, Moses lived to 500 or, something like that. They took our bodies several thousand years ago. They genetically manipulated us and made us into carbon-based life forms. They lowered our DNA from 12 strands of activated DNA, which gives you your psychic, gives you all your psychic powers, telepathy, telekinesis, teleporting yourself from place to place, all these things. They got rid of that. They blocked our third eye and they made us into 2-strand DNA carbon-based life forms, trapped us in this false matrix. And then every time a human would pass away and die, they wouldn't go to heaven. They would go into the false matrix and they would be tricked out by these entities, would trick them, make them think that you're in heaven. And then they'd make them feel guilty. They'd say, we're going to give you a life review. Oh, look how bad you were. You were a sinner. You were so bad. So now you have to go back and repeat all of the death and destruction and everything over and over. And we call that the wheel of samsara, because people were just getting sent back into suffering lifetimes over. And the Buddha talked about this. He taught on this. But basically, you just get reincarnated and reincarnated, and it was always suffering, suffering, suffering. And the reason why is the entities that run the false matrix, they feed off the loosh of the suffering of humans. That's like ambrosia to them. They literally drink that in, and that is how they survive. And so the good news, here's the good news, is in the year 2020, the Galactic Federation removed the matrix. It's gone. It's gone. And all of the souls that were trapped here on Earth, that were trapped, that weren't able to go to heaven, they can now go to heaven. So now when somebody passes away, they can either stick around and be a ghost. That's their choice if they want to be a ghost, or they can go to heaven, or they go to the, somewhere else. Maybe they go back to their original home planet or something like that. But we don't have the false matrix around the planet anymore because it was removed. It's not there anymore. So there's a lot of countries on this earth that are going through karmic learning lessons. One of the biggest countries actually that's getting the most karma is going to be, I hate to say it, 2 countries, and they both start with letter I, Italy and Israel. Because there's a lot of evil that's been perpetrated out of the Vatican for almost 2,000 years. And there's stuff under the Vatican that I'm not going to go into, but they've got technologies down there. They've got books. They've got holy relics that they've stolen and pillaged throughout time. They've gone back and pillaged so much stuff off this planet from all sorts of cultures that they've hidden down there. They also have another Stargate there as well. They've got all kinds of stuff there. And the Vatican and Israel have been kind of the perpetrators of a majority of the evil on the planet for a really, really long time. And I'm not talking about the people who are in the country. So I'm not being racist against like Italian people or Jewish people or anything like that. They're very good people. It's not the people. It's the government, which are reptilian. It's those reptilian leaders that run the governments that have created a lot of karma for themselves. So there's going to be retribution and karma coming to those countries really soon. I've heard and seen that there's lava coming under the city of Rome right now from Mount Vesuvius or something like that. And there's going to be massive like volcanic damage to Rome. It's going to get taken out. Israel is also going to get taken out as well. I'm not sure how exactly, but they're about to get karma. Now, the United States, we're not going to get karma per se. What's going to happen is there is going to be a huge split because we have a lot of people in the United States that are severely mind controlled right now. So there's going to be this split between the people who are waking up or have already woken up. Like I've been awake most of my life. There's going to be a split off in the United States between the people who are awake and the people who aren't awake. And there is a possibility because there's this big event that's about to happen on the earth. It's called the Great Solar Flash, or what they call the Purification event. And that's what's going to split us off. That's going to split us off. And what's going to happen in the United States is if that event doesn't happen soon, there is a possibility that the karma for the US is going to be civil war. that there's going to be like a big civil war. That is a possibility, but yeah. And all the terrible things going on in the planet, it just keeps coming up and being aired out for everybody to see. And the people who are ready to see it go, oh my God. And then they have this awakening experience, you know, they can't believe it. But then you still have these people that are under really deep mind control, that the only way they're going to snap out of it is they need what we call a near-death experience. So like alien invasion, nuclear war, something to scare them so deep to their core that they snap out of their mind control, what we call MK Ultra programming. And so we're going through this transformation, and it has to do with the Schumann resonance is involved in that, which is the heartbeat of Earth, the CMEs from the sun that keep hitting. They're preparing the planet. They're making it warmer and warmer. And they say there's this global warming. That doesn't exist. There's no such thing as that. That's a fake, you know, thing. But the Earth is heating up for other reasons. And part of it is we have these CMEs that are coming in. And what are those coming in for? They're bringing in more light and more higher vibration to the planet so that more and more people will wake up. Because as this light is coming, it's shedding more truth on all of the darkness and all the lies and all the hidden scary stuff that's been going on for thousands of years. So what people don't understand is there's a lot of people waking up and going, oh my God, they're trafficking 900,000 children every year. That has been going on for several thousand years, actually. Several thousand years, because the reptoids eat us. We're their food, okay? So they eat us. So they've been here doing that for thousands of years. It's just now coming up to the surface for everybody to see the truth. And as we are making the shift and we're going higher in frequency, a lot of these, what I call negatively polarized individuals, like these leaders, world leaders, people who are, you know, evil people, they're just bad people. A lot of them are passing away and they're leaving in different ways, or they're getting unalived in different ways. Maybe they're being executed by military. The military is getting them. But as the light keeps flooding the planet more and more and more, and eventually it'll be like explosion of all this light. The big event is going to be like literally this like light explosion where the whole planet's going to be filled. Anything that is not vibrating in a frequency of love and connection to Father, Mother, Source, or God is going to be gone. It's going to just disappear, and that will all go to that other, what we call timeline, or the 3D. Yeah, thank you everybody for watching this interview, and I really appreciate you all. And if you want to connect with me, you can go to my website, Spiritual Growth Journeys, just like the title above my head at spiritualgrowthjourneys.com. I have my books, all of my classes. I have lots of spiritual classes and healing classes, and I have a contact form. So if you're interested in working with me, you can go there to that website. And my YouTube channel is Spiritual Growth Journeys on YouTube. So, and Rumble.